The number one reason that many new Amazon sellers give up before they even get started is that they just cannot find their first product. Everything else in the process seems to make sense. They're happy to go and register a limited company and open a business bank account and all of that, but they don't want to do that until they found their first product. And I completely understand that. Why would you want to waste any time or money on those other areas until you found your first product and you feel confident in it? So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to do a live product research demo. I'm going to show you the exact process that I go through, and also I'll try and tell you my live thoughts as I'm going, so you can see how I'm seeing products and how I'm able to skip through so many of them so quickly. Because the more efficient you can be with your product research, it just shortens the amount of time until you find your first product. So in this video, I'm going to be using Black Box from Helium 10 to speed things up. So this is just going to give me a list of products to go through, and then we'll get to the actual product analysis stage. You can understand how my mind works. So we're going to be searching on amazon.co.uk, and from a category perspective, you're welcome to focus on any categories or subcategories that may interest you. So if you've got a specific interest, hobby, knowledge, skill set that you want to focus on, by all means start with those categories, as if you know a niche inside out, you're probably going to develop a better product. If you just want a general category to start with, I'm going to start with home and kitchen, as I know generally that will provide quite a mixed bag of results for me to go through. Now you have got lots of other filters here, and I'm not going to go through them all, as this video will be super long. I'm just going to focus on the ones that I think actually matter when you're doing this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pop in a sales bracket. So I always talk about not selling cheap products on Amazon, as it's hard to make money doing so. So I normally say about £20 plus is a good starting point. Now in my actual filters, I generally put something like £17 or £18. As if a product selling for $18.99 or $19.99, I want to consider it, because that's probably just about high enough to make some money. And the max price, you don't have to put a max price in, but something like £30 or £35 would be absolutely fine. Like I say, there's a lot of these filters that I don't actually bother with. Now, when you get to this section here, you can either search by revenue or by number of sales, or you can do both if you want. But to keep things super simple, let's just put in a target sales number per month. So between 150 and 250 units per month. And the revenue ultimately would just be a calculation of this multiplied by this anyway. So that's why you don't have to necessarily pop 2 in, but you certainly can if you want to kind of filter out the extremes on either end of the spectrum. And the reason I don't go much higher than this is once you get above about 300 units per month, which is 10 units per day, all of a sudden you need to order a lot of inventory. So if you say 300 units per month, you're probably going to be ordering 1,000 units, which is a big investment for a new seller. And also it's harder to launch a higher demand product, as you have to achieve those sales figures with PPC. So launching a product that sells 100 to 200 units per month is a lot easier than launching one that needs 300 to 400 sales per month. On the left-hand side, we've got shipping size. And all I do is I exclude all of the ones that say oversize, because the fulfillment fees in those tiers just goes up very, very quickly. So anything other than oversize, I tick, because I'm willing to consider any of those. And from a weight perspective, I put a max in of about £4. That's just under 2 kilos, which again is where the Amazon FBA fulfillment fees really go up sharply. So you don't want the product to be too heavy. And the only other final thing you may want to consider, of course, you can edit any of these filters to suit what you're searching for. But for me, I also put a max variation count of 2, because I'm not interested in products that need lots of variations to sell well. And then we click the search button, which you guys can't see, but it's hidden behind the webcam. So we click the search button there. And then that will return a number of products that meet the criteria that we set in those filters. So you can see the price point was between £18 and £30, wasn't it? The number of sales was between 150 and 250. So these products all tick those boxes. So what we do now, we just go through them one at a time to see whether we want to take these onto Amazon and find the correct search term and then do the full niche analysis. So this is, I guess, stage 1 of how I would quickly filter products in my mind, so I'm not wasting time deep diving on all of these products when probably half of them or more I actually don't even want to bother analyzing in the first place. So let's take a look. Soda Stream bottle. So straight away I'm put off, because that's going to be a branded product that we're going to have to deal with. I don't want to do that. The same with this here, which is a Spider-Man Ultimate. Anything branded, I'm not interested in looking at. The Willow Tree Lots of Love figurine. This looks more like a giftable item, so it's going to be very hard to know a specific search term for that. So I'm going to skip that. Next one we've got is a professional hone-in steel. So basically a knife sharpener. So it's the first product out of 4 that I think, right, I'm going to open that onto Amazon and we'll take a bit of a closer look. Let's just go down a bit further and see what else we've got. Next up, we have Castle Mug set of 6 from China Cave. So these are bone China cups. The thing that would put me off, I may look at this, but the thing that would put me off is these are going to be easily damaged. So if you're importing from China, you're spending 4 to 6 weeks on a boat, plus shipping to Amazon and Amazon to the customer, there's a chance these could get damaged. Obviously, if you've got great packaging, you can reduce that a lot. So that on its own would probably be enough for me to say, no, I'm just going to skip that product. So already, we've gone through 5 products, and we've ruled out 4 of them. Russell Hobbs, a sandwich maker, that's going to be electronics. I'm not interested in electronics. Special silicone mold, I don't even know what that is, so I'm just going to skip that. We've then got, what's this? A stainless steel steamer with glass lid. That's going to be, is that electronics or is that just something that works with your current appliances? I might take a quick look at that. Next one down, we've got a large frameless 3D stick-on clock. I'll take a look at that. We've got a mini rechargeable dehumidifier. I'm not interested in electronics or anything really with batteries. Carving knives, there's no way I'm getting involved with knives, especially in the current climate. Not necessarily interested in selling cookware like that because it's going to be hard to compete with the big brands that are out there. What we've got here, we've got a set of ceramic dishes. Again, the break-in issues, wash and protect carpet shampoo, not interested in that. A Banneton sourdough. Okay, so this is the sort of thing you look at and you think, okay, this isn't a branding issue because Banneton isn't a brand. It's a French word. There isn't anything here that's putting me off initially, so I'm going to open that product up and I'll take a look at that in a moment. Then we've got a Flickbook kit. It's an LED light box. That means batteries or electronics are going to be involved. Stackable plastic boxes. These are going to be big from a dimensional weight perspective, so it isn't just about the dimensions of the product and the weight of the product. Amazon also have something called dimensional weight, which is the width, depth, and height multiplied by each other divided by 5,000. And often that weight, so the dimensional weight, is higher than the actual weight of the product, which again pushes up the fulfillment fees. So I would rule out that product based on that. We then have a watercolor paint set, anything involving liquids, or I'm just not interested in that type of thing. HEPA filters, nope. Her ladyship and his lordship, and this might be worth looking at. And then we've got another bread proofing basket. I think the other one we've opened already covers that. Zippo lighter branded whiskey stones. I would imagine these are giftables, but let's take a look anyway out of interest. And then finally, we've got a spice tier rack. And then at the bottom, we've got cones pre-rolled, which I'm not sure if they are. They're for cigars, so probably not something I am interested in. So we've gone through 25 products there. I've opened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, of which a couple of them, to be fair, were generous. So let's take a look at these and see where I would go from here. So the first thing I would do once I open a product is I need to actually find the correct search term so that I can analyze the niche as a whole. I'm not necessarily worried about an individual product performance. I need to see what is happening in that niche. And the easiest way to do this is if you've got Helium 10 already, which you'll have if you're using Black Box and Xray, scroll down until you see the Helium 10 plugin here. And then click on keywords. And what this will do, this will take this ASIN straight through to Cerebro. And what Cerebro will do, it will look up all of the ranks for this product. So all of the keywords that this product is ranked for, and we can use that to find the best search term. So you can see this has pulled through lots of different keywords for this particular product, but there is an awful lot of noise. So just apply a couple of filters. First, a minimum search volume of around about 500 should work well. And then click apply filters, and that will just cut out a lot of the noise. You're not really fast if it's ranked for a keyword that's got 100 search volume. You want ones that are in the 1,000 if you're going to be analyzing a niche. And then this will return a new list of keywords, and you can scroll over to the right hand side and look at it that way. But if you click the customize button and then untick select all, then I just want you to tick search volume, organic rank, and also sponsored rank, as that can give you a bit of additional information. Now things are a lot clearer. So when I come down here, I've just got the search volume for those keywords. I've got the sponsored ranks, that's if they're paying to advertise, and it can be a good indicator of which are the best performing keywords for them, because normally they're going to rank higher for the keywords that are actually working for them. And then you've got the organic rank as well. So you're likely to find the most relevant search term near the top of this list. So we've got this one here, bread making accessories, which for me isn't specific enough. We've then got sourdough kit, which is not bad. Bread makers. We've got sourdough starting kit, sourdough proving basket, and Banneton. So potentially, actually we've got another one down here, Banneton proofing basket. Do you know what? I'm going to go back up. I'm just going to make this even easier. Let's do a search volume of say 2000. Sometimes you have to tweak these filters as you go to make things easier. And now it should be a lot clearer. So bread makers, no. Sourdough starter kit, potentially. Banneton proofing basket at 3,412 sourdough. So from going through these, I'm going to go with Banneton proofing basket as the highest volume, but also most relevant. So it's not the one with the biggest number. It's the one with the biggest number, but still the most relevancy to that product. So I will then open that on Amazon, and you can see we've got lots of Banneton baskets here. Now we can use Xray to do our analysis. So Xray from Helium 10, which in my opinion is still the best sales estimator tool out there. And the first thing you guys, we need to do this is go to filters and hide those sponsored results. We only care about the organic results because that is where the money is made on Amazon. And the first 3 checks I want you to do every time you look at a niche, do these 3 checks first before looking at anything else. That's just the quickest way to either rule in or rule out a product before you proceed further. The first thing is to check the price column. Is there plenty of demand at or above the price point you're aiming for? So if you're aiming for around £20, you want to see at least 5 products in the top 15 or so organic results around that price point. And we've got $19.99, $26.99, $22.99, $24.99. So straight away, this ticks the box. This column, absolutely fine with this. Now, as a new seller, we spoke about a criteria of maybe between 150 to 250, but you might want to go low as 100 or up to 300. So we're going to look at the demand next. So we've got this recent purchases column, and this is Amazon's own data. But keep in mind, you need to add anything from 1 unit to 100 units to these numbers, as this might be doing 150 units per month, and these might be doing 75 units per month. They don't tell you exactly, they just tell you the minimum. So from looking at this, we've got plenty of demand, 200 plus, 100 plus, 200 plus, 200 plus, 100 plus, 100 plus, 200 plus. I always look for something called a landing zone, which is around about 5 other sellers selling at the price point you're aiming for, but also at the sort of demand level you would be aiming for. So this actually, just based on these stats, is a really, really good looking niche for a new seller. The price point's really healthy. The demand isn't too high and it isn't too low. And it's also well spread. You can see most of the people in the top results here are doing between 1 to 200 units per month, with a couple of products doing a bit higher. So that shows there's scope to improve if you can get these base level ranks in, and then you can have a look at these individual listings to see where else they're getting their sales from. So that's ticked 2 of the 3 boxes so far before we get into any of these other stats. And then the third box you need to check is the seasonality. Is this product seasonal? Because if any of these 3 things don't add up, just cross this product off and move on to the next one. So the date at the moment is the 31st of January 2025. And I thought this was a Q4 peak, but actually the peak is in January rather than in December. So this isn't Christmas demand. This is interesting. I guess this is people eating healthy in January. So this is over the 1 year view. Let's go back to previous years and see what's happening. So last year, demand peaked in February. Interesting. Then the year before that, it's been an increase in demand over the past couple of years. But we can certainly see, based on 2024 data and the current 2025 data, is demand is picking up at the start of the year and then drops off in the summer months. So this potentially is actually a red flag, because what it means is all of the stats we are seeing at the moment are potentially distorted. They are overinflated because demand at the moment is 2 to 3 times higher than the levels you would expect to see throughout the rest of the year. So what I would probably do is I would move on with my product research onto the next product. I would keep this on a short list and I'd revisit in a couple of months to see what actually happened to these figures, to see if they do drop off that much. So that's why you have to check these 3 things first, because your price doesn't stack up, the demand doesn't stack up, and the seasonality doesn't stack up. Nothing else matters. So I'm going to cross this product off for now, but I'll keep it on a short list. So let's pick another product. So we've got Her Ladyship and His Lordship lap tray serving beanbag. So these may have been giftable items on the run up to Christmas, but we shall find out. Let's take these through to Cerebro again and try and find out the best keywords or the best keyword search term to analyze based on relevancy and search volume. So we'll apply the same filters again. We can go in at 500, or if you wanted to go a bit high, you can go in at 1,000 or 2,000. Choose apply filters, then hit that customize button, untick select all, and we just want search volume sponsored rank, and organic rank, and this will give us the data we need. So these guys are ranked 6th for lap trays with beanbag cushion. Wow, 7,000 searches per month. Now there is one here at 9,000 searches as well, but this specifically with the bag cushion, and that's a good search volume. So I'm going to use this as the primary search term to analyze. And I can't believe this actually gets this much search volume for this type of product. But there you go. This is why we do product research, as we never know what we're going to find. So you can see all the products are there and they are all comparable. I forgot to mention that on the previous product before you open Xray. Also have a quick scroll down in the search results to make sure the products are comparable. Otherwise, the analysis is completely pointless if the products aren't comparable. So let's bring up Xray again. I remember the first thing we always do when we launch Xray is filter out those sponsored results. And then we've got those 3 checks that we spoke about. So price point. Well, initially it doesn't look too good, does it? $12.95, $9.99, $9.99. But then we've got £20.45, $19.95, $29.99, £24. So we got evidence of 4 listings at £20 or above. So when I say a landing zone of 5 sellers, this would be close enough for me. I wouldn't rule it out based on that. If there was only one product at £20, it might be a bit more of a red flag. But we've got multiple entries. We've got multiple sellers in this niche achieving a healthy price point. So box 1 is ticks. Recent purchases, 200, 800, 200, 300, 300, 200, 100. Again, demand actually. Demand is quite nice in this niche. If you're a new seller coming in here and you aim for around about 200 per month, I think that would put you in a really good position. Demand runs quite nice and deep. You've got a good chance of making some sales. So the first 2, again, seem to check out. Let's see what the seasonality is for this particular search term. If we put this over the 1-year view, yeah, so this is what I thought we were going to see on the Banneton niche. I thought we were going to see a peak in December. And generally, I avoid doing much product research in January because the stats are always distorted by the December demand. But this data here, if you look at Helium 10 will say this is over the past 30 days or the past month. So it's the 31st of January today. So I think these stats are fairly reliable for the rest of the year because demand has come back down substantially. Maybe it's slightly inflated compared to the rest of the year. So maybe sales will be maybe 175 or 150, but not too much down on what we're seeing at the moment. So this product ticks the 3 boxes, the main 3 boxes that we are looking for. So let's go through this now fully from left to right, how I would do the analysis using Xray. So the first one, are all the products comparable? We've already done that check before we launched Xray in the first place. We then look at the brand column. We want to make sure this is not brand dominated. There's not one big seller completely dominating the niche because there's one big seller with multiple entries. And by multiple entries, I mean taking like close to 10 of the listings. If someone's in here a couple of times, like the Magic Toy Shop, then I don't really see that as an issue. So we've already checked out the price point and we've already checked out the demand levels. So we come across a bit further until we get to the review section. Well, actually, you can look at the seller country region. I do like to see a couple of GB sellers in there. If you only see AMZ listings, I don't want to be competing with Amazon. So if there's lots of AMZ listings, I generally avoid it. And if it's all CN listings, that often means it's all Chinese sellers, and that usually means the price point or the profit margins have been squeezed so much, it's hard for GB sellers to actually make money in this niche. But it's also worth keeping in mind sometimes that some Chinese sellers do use fake details to become UK sellers and will show as a GB seller despite the fact they are a Chinese seller. So this isn't necessarily 100% accurate. It's just something to keep in mind. The fees, you roughly want to see these about 30% of the sale price. So if we're selling at around £20, we want to see fees in the region of £7 to £8. So if we scroll back over to the left so we can see both at the same time, hopefully, yeah, we can just about see that. So the one selling at £20 is £8.39, which is a bit on the high side. Remember, you're going to be paying VAT on top of this, which is going to take you up to about £10. So there's probably a fulfillment fee issue with these being quite big. So if you are very clever with the dimensions, there may be a way you can work around that. Let's take a look at some of the other higher value ones at $29.99. Again, their fees are reasonable. Remember, as your price goes up, your fees go up as well. It's 15% of the sale price, but it's the fulfillment fee especially that you have to be careful of when it comes to size and weight of the product. So fees is definitely something I would make a note of to check closely once I've finished doing my general product research session. So I wouldn't deep dive every single product. I'd be like, this is good enough to make my shortlist. And then I'd look at these even closer at a separate time. And fees would be one thing. So size, weight, dimensions would be what I'd really focus on with this product. And then we've got active sellers. I don't really care about that. Ratings and reviews. All I'm looking for is to avoid niches where everyone's got 5-star products. So to get 5 stars, they need to average 4.8 or above. And there's no one in here with a 5-star product, so I believe we can compete with those. And the same applies to reviews. I'm not really too worried about reviews because people, I would imagine, aren't buying this product based on review. They're probably buying it based on function and also how they look. So the thing to keep in mind with reviews is the more similar your product is to the existing product, the more important your reviews are. The less similar it is and the more unique your product looks and the more desire it has and the more perceived value, then the less important the reviews are. Size tier. So this is one thing I was worried about. So you can see small, oversized, small, oversized, small, oversized. So you have to be very careful. If you can fall into the standard parcel niche, then hopefully the fees would be okay. But you definitely want to avoid going into any of the oversized tiers. Fulfillment. Now this potentially is a warning sign. If you see lots of MFN, what this can mean is that the fulfillment fees on Amazon are too high. So sellers are shipping them themselves rather than sending them to Amazon and then Amazon shipping it from the fulfillment centers. So the fact there are lots of MFNs in here is, this is on the shortlist alongside the fees concern, because basically it's the same thing. So there is potentially an issue, and that makes sense because these are quite big products, that these products are too big or expensive to sell via FBA and make decent returns with them. Weight doesn't seem to be an issue, but the dimensions potentially are. And then creation date, I do like to see a mixture of old and new sellers. So if you see all new listings, it could show that it's either a fad niche or there's an issue with actually selling that niche in the first place and it's just constant churn of sellers. Or if it's all old listings, it may show that it's difficult to break into that niche for a new seller. And a lot of these are quite old listings. This is the newest entrance here. You can't quite see. The newest entrant is here from July 2024, so 6 months ago. And they're ranked, they're a decent way down the search results. So that is something to keep in mind. So there are a couple of, let's say, orange flags for this product. Potentially the fees, the size are going to be an issue. But I would keep it on my shortlist to do that full deep dive on later and see if I can come up with a way of launching product that wouldn't actually cost that much to fulfill. And if we just do one more product, so what else have we got open up here? We've got the frameless DIY wall clock. So I think you actually stick these pieces individually onto your wall. So it looks really big, but actually, because they're all individual pieces, it probably turns up in a reasonably small box. So again, we take this through to Cerebro. We need to find out the best search term for this particular product to see if there's actually any demand for it outside of this individual product. Remember, when we do that black box search, it's just looking for individual products. And just because one product's selling well, it doesn't mean every product in that niche is selling well. That's why it's so important to find the search term, then go back to Amazon, then use Xray to analyze the niche as a whole. So minimum search volume, let's put that at 500. And then we come down, hit the customize button, unselect all. We just want search volume, sponsored, and organic rank. And this product, it's not doing very well from an organic rank perspective. Its top position is 40th, which means I'm surprised they're making as many sales as they are to fit into the filters we put into black box originally. These ranks are pretty poor. So wall clocks for living room. Now that sounds quite general. How many stick-on clocks have we got there? No, so they're not ranking very well, and there's hardly any stick-on clocks in that group of search results. So there's a little point me analysing that niche based on that product. Now, I could analyse that niche with just thinking of a standard clock in mind, but certainly I wouldn't use that niche to analyse the demand for a stick-on clock. Large clocks potentially is a bit more relevant. But again, if you're not sure on relevancy, go through the search results to see. So this is the first one here. So what we down. A little bit down the search result. This is the first product here that is a stick-on product. And then we've got large wall clocks for living room, wall clocks for living room modern, wall clocks. So there isn't really a super relevant high volume search term for this niche by the looks of things. So that alone, I would probably cross this niche off. If you just wanted to kind of double check, you could come back to the product and try and guess what they're using. So they're using a frameless clock. Let's see what we can get. Frameless clock. We'll try some of our own searches. Frameless clock. See what the search volume is like. So the search expander from Helium 10 will tell us. That has a search volume of 90 per month. So that was a rubbish search term. How about a stick-on clock? And that's pretty rubbish as well, 191. So I'd probably skip that product as well and then move on to the next product. So I've got a number of other products here that I can go through and analyze, or I can come back to Helium 10, go to page 2 of the search results and start looking through more products here. Or you can try different filters, different categories. So there's lots of options for you to explore, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of how I eliminate products quickly. And then I kind of have that second step of making sure they tick those 3 core criteria of price, demand, seasonality. And then if they do, I'll do a bit more of a deep dive, and then I'll put them onto a shortlist for even deeper dive analysis at a separate later date, so it doesn't slow up my product research too much. Now below this video, in the pinned top comment and in the description will be links to the FBA Elite course, and also an affiliate link to Helium 10, which if you click on, will load the very latest Helium 10 discount promo, whatever they're running at that particular time. What I'm going to do now is pop up a video showing you some of the best products to sell on Amazon in 2025, and I'll see you guys over there.